want to ask you, because right now, the decision as to what the West should be doing in order to help Ukraine is of major debate in the U.S. presidential election. It's increasingly becoming more of a debate in Canada as well. What do you believe the West's role should be in Ukraine? Is it to continue what they're doing? Is it to move towards boots on the ground, or is it to push for a diplomatic end to this war? What do you think the West's role should be?
It's a very good question and an incredibly difficult one, and one that I have on a personal level very, very mixed emotions about. I've been to Ukraine recently. I traveled through the country. I met with many people in the military, met with many people in Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Line Zero, and it's an incredibly difficult. Look, it's a horrible war that is costing the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. I think that the decision at the end of the day lies in the hands of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian leadership. If the Ukrainians have the will to keep fighting and the desire to keep fighting, and if they believe that they can defeat the Russians, and I don't think it's an implausible proposition, then I think we can only respect their wishes. I don't think we can force and decide for the Ukrainians. I wouldn't really want to speak for them, especially because I'm not Ukrainian.
Right.
I've spent a lot of time in Ukraine. I lived there briefly in 2018 and 2019. And it's a country I have a great fondness for and a great affinity for. But I think they have proven on a military level that they are capable of at least holding the Russian bear back, and they've done it with impressive success. The 3 days theory of Kyiv will be taken, and the Russian propagandists who are sort of prophetizing the demise of Zelensky and his administration within days couldn't have been more wrong. So credit where credit is due. I think that obviously there are some concerns to be had, especially about corruption. Obviously, it's far worse on the Russian side, but I do think that unfortunately there are some issues with corruption in Ukraine. But yeah, if Kyiv believes it can keep the fight going, and if Ukrainians want to keep fighting, then I think we should leave that decision to them.
Right. And what do you think victory looks like? It's not something that we often get an insight into from the Canadian side when we fund the effort. We don't know what that victory looks like. So in your opinion, what would that be? Would that be taking back the occupied territory? Would that be solidifying lines and just downing tools? What do you think that looks like?
From a Ukrainian perspective, victory is very obvious. Victory is a return to the internationally recognized borders of before the Russian aggression, and I'm not talking about the aggression of 2022, but of 2014.
Right.
From a Western point of view, correct. From a Western point of view, for me speaking as a Polish citizen, to me, victory would most certainly be an end of the Putin administration in Russia, and a disintegration of the Russian Federation into multiple states. I don't believe this is a stated goal of the Ukrainian administration, but that from a Western perspective, I mean, I think that obviously this is a complicated matter for Americans to understand and for Canadians to understand. Even though I know you have a physical proximity to Russia that we forget about because the world is a globe, but being Polish and having a very difficult history with our Russian neighbors. Two of my grandfather's brothers were massacred in the mass graves of Katyn and Starobielsk in 1940, part of the purges of the Polish intelligentsia. So it is a very personal animosity to me. We really believe that, Russia is an existential threat, and it is an imperialist power that has not given up on any of its imperialist beliefs, just as the West exactly has given up these ideas of imperialism and retreated very much from large parts of the world. That the Russians haven't, and the Russians see certainly my country, Poland, as their rightful sphere of influence. So to me, Russia is still is a terrifying neighbor, and it's a terrifying power even in its current sort of weakened form. So a disintegration of Russia into multiple states would be I think that would be victory to me.